What's up, Knights? Xantos here with my second instructional video. I've seen quite a few people on the Facebook Knighthood group page asking questions like this. And I wanted to give some tips as a level 45 player on armor builds and charms that I use to help me get further in the game. And this is going to be a video on that. I hope you enjoy. Alright, so I'm a knight in the game who currently has 15,000 health and 47,000 armor. Now, I got there by combining armor charms together. As you can see throughout my armor, I have on my shoulders 1, 2, on my hands 2, legs 2, helmet 2, and chest piece 1 armor charms. Now, when you combine all of those together, you can get a fairly large boost to your armor. What I did was I focused armor charms on my gear and gave myself multiples of 30. So when you take 8,000 stat and multiply it by 30 9 times over, you can get a fairly high amount. So we're going to bounce over to our inventory now and just go on down to our charms. As you can see, I do not have a lot of defense charms right now because I've been using them quite a bit. They're undoubtedly, in my opinion, the best armor charm for your gear. It is the one thing that can increase your armor stat percentage or your health stat percentage by a fairly decent amount. Blue charms increase by 30%, purple by 40%, gold by 50%. Even the greens are pretty good with 20% and grays with 10% if you're a beginner player. Any bit of percentage boost to your armor or health can really help you out in battle. Alright, next up for my list on charm slots, I would undoubtedly say the hero charm slot would be my second favorite. That is the center charm slot on my chest piece currently. And right now, throughout my gear, I only have one hero charm in my gear currently. But in the past, I've had, I think my max I've had was 3 hero charms throughout my gear, in which I put all 15% boost to mage powers. And when doing that, I felt a fairly significant boost to my Titania's healing powers, as well as my Vordry's damage dealing powers. This is another charm that I find in the game can really boost your damage dealing powers or healing powers. You feel it. It's a charm slot that you undoubtedly feel. So on my tier rating, I would definitely say defense charms and hero charms are my 2 S tier charms. They're definitely the best. Now, we're going to come to other charm slots. Throughout your gear, you're not going to get the most ideal charms every single time. You're not going to get gear that is bowtie hero or bowtie. You're not going to get the ideal roll every time, and you're going to have to learn to work with what you got. So next up on my ratings for good charm slots, I would say is probably my damage charms. Right now on my feet I have a 24% boost to acid damage, and also on my shoulders I have a 24% boost to poison damage. Now with the mix of those 2 charms, the hero Aaron, on his base power he can deal poison, and on his rage power he can deal acid. Putting those 2 charms throughout my gear, I can really feel a boost to his damages when I'm using him in battle. So status charms, I would definitely say, is my next on the ranking list of charms throughout your gear that you would like to have. It's a very good charm still. If you got gear pieces that focused a certain type of damage and built all charms focus towards say burn damage, you could potentially increase your burn damage by upwards of 150% if you put it throughout your gear. It's all depending on your builds. If you focus on a certain type of build, you can really up a certain damage in that stat. Or like my armor, I focused armor charm, so I up my armor utmost. Focusing any one charm throughout your gear multiple times is definitely a benefit towards you. All right, next up after that, we're going to look at resistance charms. I have a resistance charm in my chest piece as well, and it gives me the ability to resist stun, a 36% chance as well. The 36% resist to stun helps me against enemies like the troll smashers or the outlaw enemies that hang in the back row that hit you with that stun. Stun is a very, very detrimental status effect that you want to avoid getting hit with if you can. I only have one throughout my gear, so my resistance to it isn't too high. But there has been times when I've been hit with big moves from monsters that try to hit me with stun, and I've avoided it because of that. So next up on the list, I would say resistance charms are your next ideal armor charm slot. So if we're looking at it from an ABCD perspective right now, defense charms A, hero charms B, status charms C, and resistance charms D. Now, lastly, we have the dreaded Minion Charm. Minion Charms to me are a big bummer. I get very disappointed when I'm making my gear and I have an X rollout through it, because it only boosts you in one area of the game. It only boosts you in the PvP aspect of the game. You get no benefit from the PvE area of the game because you don't have minions that you can bring with you in PvE. But that's not to say that you're not going to get gear with it. As you can see in my helmet and my arms, I actually have a Minion Charm. Minion Charms can boost minion attack damage, they can boost minion powers, and I believe they can also boost minion healing abilities. They're not really all that great, and because of that, they get my lowest rank for charms. It's very unfortunate when you get gear with X in it. I've actually had, if you take a look here, I crafted my first ever pair of gold, which rolled out with 3 X's and 1 status charm. I was very, very disappointed in that. That's not to say, though, that in the future this piece couldn't be useful. Charm reroll is an aspect that's going to be coming out in the game at some point as well. So these could be potentially useful shoulders at one point in the game. You may just need to put more effort into them. Keep that in mind with your gear too, with the charm reroll that's coming out. That could potentially make gear very interesting. As you can see here, where is it? Just under the Library of Enlightenment, you could see charm rerolling, fine-tune your gear, which could potentially make things a lot nicer in the future. Alright, Knights, well, I hope you enjoyed my guide to armor and charm slots. Keep in mind, this is all my opinion. If you want to do things differently in your game, that's up to you. You can approach this game any way you feel fit. Just as a 45 player, these were the attempts that I took, and I hope that some of my ideas can inspire thoughts with you guys in your game, and hopefully make you set goals and whatnot. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you enjoyed, make sure you like the video and subscribe. I'm going to be trying to come out with more content. Hopefully I can do a weapon charms guide at a later point this week. But yeah, there's going to be more content coming out, so if you enjoyed, definitely subscribe, and enjoy your day. Thank you very much.